get started now. Visit GoBarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
They go out of the pistol, and it's a handoff to Donovan Edwards, who breaks free again. To his right, 2 carries and 2 touchdowns.
We started off really hot, but I feel like we got to points in the games where we were beating ourselves. I was missing throws, missing some reads. Comes down to staying in the present moment and just trying to, attack one play at a time.
That was one of our goals, win the big games, win the Big Ten championship, win the Rose Bowl, win the national championship. It's glorious. It's a glorious feeling.
I feel like we beat ourselves. There was times we definitely had opportunities to make big-time plays, but we didn't come down to execute. They're a good team, but we had a lot of opportunities.
Hyde's chasing him, fires, and scores! And unbelievable! Unbelievable 3 by Keisei Tominaga. Put back up, no good, and the rebound to Trey King. That's going to do it. Iowa State knocks off number 2 Houston, 57-53.
I think it's a dumb move. He is the kind of coach that can motivate a team at any point. Players respect him because he keeps it real, and that's a rarity in the NFL.
He wants to be perfect. He wants to do everything he can to win. He's a true competitor. He wants to put it on his shoulders and make it right. And sometimes as a quarterback, you try to do too much. It's really not what I'm in it for. At times it makes you feel a little foolish almost that you're getting these awards because there are so many people that go into it that it's kind of a shame. It's not just a great in high school baseball is going in the Hall of Fame.
Welcome on into 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for Sports Day. It's Aaron Clark filling in for Steve Webster. We've also got to fill in for Mike Hesher. It's Landon Winkler holding down the streaming sides of things. And then, of course, the old, reliable, rock-steady Mike Corson over there on the other side. Boys, excited to be back today. Had to take a brief departure yesterday. Nice little snow day for everyone. We're a high school sports show predominantly. Everyone there should be familiar with a snow day. But fun to be back. Excited to be here bringing you the latest edition of Sports Day. Would like to remind everyone right off the bat that Sports Day is brought to you in part by Equity Bank. More than 40 locations throughout Kansas, including Great Bend, Larned, Maxwell, and St. John. EquityBank.com. As well as by the Barton Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country. Fellas, how we doing after this snow day? Corson, I feel like you probably had some good stories, but I'm also interested to get the Landon Winkler perspective on it a little bit.
I was going to say, I just know how much it hurt you. National championship game Monday, no sports day Tuesday. Uh-oh.
It hurt my soul. I couldn't get my car out that morning, and I was just like, this isn't happening. This is my special day. This is like after the day after the Super Bowl and today. These are the 2 days for me.
It's like it's Christmas on December 26th. What? I had to wait an extra day?
Right, no kidding, but we'll have some fun to talk about. But Landon, you're a new apartment owner. How was your first big snow?
It was terrible because I tried to get my we used her truck to get out, but it turns out I couldn't see and I slipped off the curb in the truck. And so I had no traction, so I couldn't get back in the driveway and I couldn't get out.
It's almost like you high-centered yourself.
Yeah. And so some nice civilians came by and they kind of used their truck and pulled our truck into the side to get all out of the way, so that way we wouldn't get a ticket or anything.
You can always count on the nice people of Great Bend, listeners of 1590 KVGB, I'm sure, the good people of the town. On Sports Day today, I'll talk with head coach of the Great Bend Lady Panthers, Cindy Beck, as her squad prepares to face Hutch on Friday. Also get to sit down and talk to voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock. We'll be able to take a deep dive into Tiger basketball. Then to wrap up the show, Mike Corson goes on the prowl. Nice with Gannon Riker, head coach of the Great Bend wrestling team. That was a good one.
That one hurt my soul, yeah.
Yeah, that was you missed yesterday. You had to get it in there. Of course, first we're going to get to our sounds of the past 24 hours or so. We got to do 24 hours or so here on a Wednesday. Starting off with what you heard on Monday night, the Michigan Wolverines able to claim their first college football national title since 1997. Donovan Edwards going 46 yards, his second touchdown in the first quarter. 2 carries, 2 touchdowns right off the bat for Edwards. I believe he had 87 yards on those 2 carries. Started it strong for Michigan, but Washington, they held their own there for a little bit. That final score, 34-13, that's a little more deceptive than as close to that game as it was.
I really can't recall how boring as a game as that one was. Kind of thought Michigan was going to be way more physical. I think Vegas came out at 4.5. The betting must have been heavy. They bumped it back to 5.5. I still thought that was a steal, and it ended up being double figures. But even though Washington came back, it's kind of never got the sense that they were truly, truly in it.
And that's kind of what I was talking about with some buddies. It was a closer game than I think 34-13 looks, but it was also never really in doubt. Like, Michigan was able to put up some quick touchdowns there at the end to really pile on the score. But right away, just the physicality that Michigan's offensive line was playing with, there was a little bit of some discrepancy and some foul calling that we could get into later. But Michigan comes out, runs the ball extremely well. Wolverines put up 303 yards on the ground compared to just 42 rushing yards for the Huskies. That's what you call a dominant game plan. You also heard from Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. He knew it was an up-and-down game. He had a pretty good job this year for old McCarthy, culminating in that national championship.
They're calling him a top 5 pick. There's no way.
No, he's not.
Maybe
even
a linebacker.
But he's not even a top 5 quarterback in this draft. I'd take. We can get into that later down the road. That's April talk, not January.
One thing I will look forward to next season is not watching him meditate at the goalpost.
Not meditate at the goalpost to throw the ball not even 15 times.
Yeah.
McCarthy finishes 10 for 14, 140 yards. And I mean, hey, sometimes you need a quarterback who can just come in and not give the ball away, not turn it over. It's the 49ers plan. That's what Michigan had this year. They had a stacked, loaded roster that they knew what they could do with, take advantage of it how they could. He got it done, but I do not see McCarthy being a top 5 pick. I see him at best maybe a late round 1, unless he just comes out and blows away at the combine, the physical testing. Who knows what can happen during the draft process.
Hands. Yeah, and on the flip side, Penix, obviously they had to push the envelope a little bit, but they had the right play call on the big 4th down. Top receiver in the country, top throwing quarterback in the country, can't connect when it counts.
They seem disjointed, and something that was really concerning before the game was how much pressure would be affecting Michael Penix Jr. Something that kind of bothered him all season was when you were able to move him off his initial spot, make him have to move out of the pocket and throw. We saw that rear its head again. He was sacked. He was actually coming up. Looks like he had some mid injury or middle body injury. He was kind of limping off the field with, I don't know if it was a hip or more of a stomach kind of area. He was banged up. Credit, though, to the Michigan defense. They made it hard. They were able to limit some of the best connections in the country, not only the Michael Penix Jr. to Rome Odunze connection, Michael Penix Jr. to Jalen Polk, a connection that was very good this year. Washington offense just could not get it rolling. Pretty surprising. Heard from head coach Jim Harbaugh, coaching Michigan to a 15-0 record. Says it's a glorious feeling. It's got to be pretty good for him. You can say what you want. It has been a long season, tumultuous for him to end in a national title. It's got to feel good for old Harbaugh.
Yeah, and there's been some coaches that get their schools in trouble, and I don't like those coaches. Pete Carroll, to name one. But Harbaugh is kind of hard not to like. I don't have to work with him. I understand he might be difficult, but, I mean, the guy had smudges all over his glasses in the national title game. I'm like, this guy's fantastic.
He's fun because you can just tell he really is just crazy for college football. And he's a guy that he's a Michigan man. He prides himself on that, but will he be there leading Michigan next year? I'm still not sold that he's not going to try to jump ship to the NFL, go out on top with some of the sanctions that could be facing the Wolverines. I don't know.
I think that's the deciding point would be for me was what are the sanctions going to be, and is he going to want to deal with them, or he can go make his money and build up another program like he's done before.
And something to give props to Michigan for, they're not rolling out a cakewalk schedule next year either. They're playing 4 of the top 10 final ranked teams in the AP poll. That includes a rematch with this Washington team. They'll also be taking on Texas. They were a college football playoff squad, as well as Oregon and Ohio State. So Michigan's got some guys on their schedule next season already. Should be fun to see them try to defend their national title.
Well, and I think with the new playoff system, maybe you can do that because you can probably have 2 losses and still get in as a big school like that. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that changes the landscape.
That is actually a really good point. It's interesting to see how the 12-team as opposed to 4-team will impact what strength of schedule does for you as opposed to just having a perfectly clean record. Going to be fun to see how that plays out next year. It was a big night of upsets in college basketball, starting out in Nebraska where the Cornhuskers, they were too much for Purdue. You heard the call on KILN as Keisei Tominga made a 3-point shot. Nebraska, they beat Purdue 88-72. It's the first win for Nebraska over an AP number 1 ranked team in 41 years. Nebraska, they're now 13-3. Purdue drops to 14-2. However, Boilermakers weren't alone in being upset last night as number 2 Houston, they fall to Iowa State 57-53. It's going to be kind of rocky waters for KU tonight. The third-ranked team in the country. They're playing UCF. Going to be trying not to get upset, but you figure if they win tonight, they'll move back into that top spot they had in the preseason. Excited to see what KU can do. We'll have coverage of that game starting at 5:30 over on Hits 106.9.
Yeah, I think that's what the Big 12 is going to be all year. It's kind of been that way. So even West Virginia last night testing Kansas State, and that's one of the few teams with a losing record. So no nights off in the Big 12.
Also, or just moving along in our sounds of the past 24 hours, you heard Andrew Hawkins, ESPN's football insider, talking about how Tennessee Titans, they might regret firing Mike Vrabel. He's a good coach. He led them to playoffs in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Now they've hit on some rough waters, but the talent there's definitely dipped down. It's an aging Ryan Tannehill, not making things easy for Tennessee. I think Vrabel leaps to the top of the head coaching candidate list. I think there's going to be a lot of teams eyeing him. One that makes a lot of sense, especially if they're wanting to move on from their current coach, New England Patriots. Vrabel played there for a long time, won Super Bowls there under Bill Belichick. If they are out on Bill, wanting to move on to someone else, Vrabel kind of has that Patriots way mentality. He's real with the players, keeps it very physical, run-dominant game. Yeah, I don't know, they might want to bring him in, be the head coach.
And who knows what goes on behind closed doors, but maybe there were conversations, we'll take him off your hands and then we can get rid of Belichick. And
well, that was probably one of the most alarming parts of the process for Tennessee. There's reports comes out that Tennessee didn't want to have to go through the complicated process of trading Vrabel. They thought that would take too long. That seems like something you do, like, oh, I don't want to have to go through the complicated paper of getting a parking spot. I'm not going to do that. Not when you're talking about potentially getting a second-round draft pick, some compensation. Vrabel would have gotten a good price on a trade market in the NFL. He's a head coach that has a lot of momentum. He's done a lot, and he's still a young guy. He's not afraid to implement new things. I'm shocked that Tennessee just is letting him go free will. It's not his decision. It's kind of surprising. Him and Rand Crawford, new GM in Tennessee from last year, might not be seeing eye to eye.
And I think you're shocked by that. I'm shocked that you can trade a head coach in the NFL. It's hilarious to me.
Isn't it? You don't see it very often, but early 2000s Gruden and now the Sean Payton trade of last year. But it should be fun to see what the Titans end up doing. They have some pieces there to be fun with, but the AFC, they're loaded with plenty of teams going to be making it hard for years to come.
And it's remarkable. It's the coaching carousel. It happens every year. This guy was worthless in our town. Oh, he'll be good over here. So who knows what they pitched that says, I wasn't successful here and here, but I can be successful here. Okay, I believe you.
And that's something I think Vrabel really has going for him. I believe, if I saw it right, he has a 54-45 record in his time in Tennessee.
Don't know that he'll have another Derrick Henry.
That is fair, but maybe he'll get Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a free agent. He's going to be going somewhere. Maybe Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry team up. Who knows how long Henry can still be a workhorse. You also heard from former backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Chad Henne. He's been watching the Chiefs struggle this year. He thinks maybe Mahomes is trying to do too much, whether it be with his legs on the ground or in the air. He's just trying to force things a little bit. I don't know. Henne's got some insight into how that offense works. If he thinks maybe Mahomes is trying to do too much, there might be something there. On the other hand, Chad Henne, he's kind of the expert on not doing too much, in his time in Kansas City.
Yeah, and until proven otherwise, I know the regular season does mean things. Obviously, they're not getting the home, but until proven otherwise, Mahomes is the big game guy, so I will wait to grade him until the next few weeks.
Also not going to have to worry about Joe Burrow coming in and ruining his big game. Maybe the only other quarterback who can live up to those big game hype. I guess Josh Allen's not bad, but nobody wants to meet Buffalo in these playoffs. I'll go ahead and wrap up our sounds of the past 24 hours, but almost, because we got to hear from a former basketball and baseball coach here at Great Bend High, Jeff Langer. Langer's being inducted into the Kansas Baseball Hall of Fame.
The Kansas Association of Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame.
There we go. I was going to say the Kansas. I thought I had that wrong. Well, you got to actually talk to Langer a little bit for an extended period of time the other day, didn't you, Corson?
Yeah, and so when I started sports writing officially 08-09, Langer was kind of the guy as a baseball and basketball coach, and I especially cut my teeth in the basketball world, so kind of fun to catch up with him. All of the baseball, so it's 22 years that he's being recognized for. All of that was at Great Bend High School, so we'll have a story out tomorrow, but very high praise for all the people that worked with him, the players, the coaches, administrators, and that's why the quote was, he feels a little silly that it's just him because it was Great Bend High School's baseball program.
What do you remember about his sideline or his dugout demeanor?
Don't get to see a whole lot in baseball, so that's kind of odd. But basketball, it was always great. You're waiting for him to take off the jacket. How long do we go before the jacket comes off? And he was a fiery guy, but obviously knew what he was doing, so it was never really uncontrolled. It was just kind of more the entertainment that we've seen out of several of our other area coaches, that it's high school basketball, but it feels bigger than that with some of these guys.
It's funny that you bring up the coat thing, because I was a young man. I was around 8 or 9 in 2009 when they were really going under Langer. I remember going to those games and always waiting and watching, and I knew it was getting serious. I had to lean forward and really focus in on the game whenever the coach would take his jacket off, because that meant it was getting real. Things were getting serious. You had to focus in and be ready for the Panthers to make a move. We'll go ahead and send it into our first break here. After we come back, we'll hear from head coach of the Great Bend Lady Panthers, Cindy Beck. All that and more coming your way on Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Physical therapy. Consider advanced therapy in Great Bend and progressive therapy in Larned and Hayes.
Hi, my name is Dalton Jones, a patient that I helped. She came in with chronic back pain that she'd been having for years. After several weeks of showing her exercises, several different interventions, we were able to get her back to where she can do her shopping without leaning on the shopping cart at all.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Attention high school juniors. Explore your career paths at Barton Community College's Junior Day on February 14th. This fun and free day features an on-campus tour, giveaways, yard games, pizza, and did we mention $3,000 in scholarships will be up for grabs. Learn about a variety of career paths, some of which can get you into the workforce and making money in just one semester. Sign up online now through February 1st at juniorday.bartoncccc.edu.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Welcome back into 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for Sports Day. It's Aaron Clark filling in for Steve Webster, here with the head coach of the Great Bend Lady Panthers, Cindy Beck, joining us on a cold and frosty day, Coach.
Yes, I am. It's kind of a different week with the weather we've had, but staying warm, that's the key.
It's got to be nice coming off being able to keep yourself warm with a victory in WAC play, diving right in, picked up a 44-34 win over Garden City on Friday. That had to feel pretty nice to start 2024.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a big win for our program and a good way to start the year, both in getting a win and in WAC play, kind of opening it up that way. I thought it was a big thing for us, and hopefully we can kind of keep that momentum going as we get into these next couple weeks.
It was nice to see Sadie Spray get back into the scoring column. Had kind of had an off night to end 2023. She got back for, I believe, 22 points, a great scoring output both inside and outside for Sadie Spray.
Yeah, it was. Sometimes she's, we say struggling, and I think the girl had 19 the night before, but I know exactly what you're talking about because she was feeling it too, just in some of those shots not falling. And I think that that's been a big thing her and I talk about, kind of moving on. You have to continue to look at the score. You have to continue to think it's going in. And I thought Friday night was a big night for her, both, like you said, inside and out. She had a couple 3-balls fall, just attacking the basket and getting a lot of looks, even just pulling up a little bit short and knocking them down, which is a huge thing for us and a great thing for her.
Talking about that, kind of how it may have seemed like a down night, but she still put up 19 points. Sadie's game is just so good that anytime she stumbles a little bit, it's kind of a surprise. What has been so far the biggest development this year as opposed to maybe her junior year last season?
And I think one of the things last year that was a little bit different is, for the first part of the season, she was kind of, to other teams anyway, not to us, she was kind of a surprise. She wasn't coming off her sophomore year, averaging the 20 points. And so I think early in the season last year, she was kind of able to go out and just play her game, and people were guarding her pretty just honest and straight up. As the season went and getting into conference play, that changed a little bit. And I think this year, as a senior, she had a lot of that early attention and has a lot of accolades out there of different things of attention across the state, and, committing to play college basketball. And those are all great things. And sometimes when that happens, though, too, your name's out there and people are a little bit more aware of you. So I think that's just something that she has, that extra challenge as a senior going in, is that people are looking at our team going, how do we stop 10? How do we stop 10? Or what are we going to do, to counter that in a defense? And so I think that's something she's seen a little bit more of, and doing a great job, though. Like we've talked a lot, that our best offense sometimes is our defense, and she is able to get out and run, get some easy buckets in transition type thing, which has been a good thing both for her confidence on the offensive end and just for our team and the things we need to do. We're still seeing both Kenzie and Jill and even our girls underneath, we're forcing a lot of turnovers. I think Friday night we forced 30-something in the game overall, which is a big thing for us. Gaining those extra possessions and being able to get looks is something we're going to have to continue to do.
What goes into getting your whole team to buy into playing such a voracious defense? Because I agree 100%. It's fun watching you guys turn your defense into quick offensive points. It's also pretty fun to watch your transition game. It seems like there's a lot of chemistry built up between the girls, a lot of trust in those outlet passes deep down the court.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been just a big focus for us through the years. I'm a very big defensive-minded person, and just kind of knowing our client personnel, we're not huge, so we're going to have to be able to find ways to get up and defend people. Our girls have really just bought into the understanding of positioning of defense, and, especially a lot of those girls we have on the court right now have a lot of experience on that varsity court, and I think that plays a huge part in it. And then, like I've mentioned before, I think Alyssa's been a big part of, she's focusing on that, and she's understanding the importance of it. And, in Denver coming in and giving us those solid wins in that same sense. And just understanding, the personnel, the scouting reports of who are we all having to look to stop, who do we have to help on. Even Emily Hall had a big assignment the other day with KJ. And that girl is athletic and can shoot the ball, and tall type deal, and she knows, and we all trust Emily to do it, but we also know that she has to have our help in a sense as well. So I think just kind of understanding more of the game and what we're trying to get is going to continue to be important.
It's head coach with the Great Bend girls basketball team, Cindy Beck. Coach, talking about the scouting report, looking ahead to Friday, you'll be taking on the Hutchinson Salthawks. Tell me, what do you know about this Hutch squad this year?
They look a little bit different than they did last year. They graduated a couple of big pieces to their game, but, they still have a good core of scorers back and a good athletic group. I don't know her name, but number 23, she was kind of the one that got us in our very last game of the season last year. We were going to force someone else to knock some shots down, and she did. And she's kind of rolled with that as she's continued into this season this year. As she's looking to score, and she's aggressive overall in the way she plays. So she's definitely going to be a big focus for us. They also have number 3 is a Tosh girl who can shoot the heck out of the ball, and she has for the past 2 seasons against us. So we're going to have to know where they're at, be aware, and try to still play our game while stopping some of theirs.
How does that recent history with Hutchinson kind of play into your preparation heading into this week? How do you use it as fuel and maybe try to rally in some of the girls and make sure they don't get too excited for this upcoming game?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's something that you have to kind of stop and focus each game. Like we've kind of talked about 1-0 mentality of, okay, here's the next challenge of what we have. And, you go through the week and you focus on all different things, and you talk about us, you talk about them. And then when it comes down to Friday, it's kind of that lock-in, here we go type thing. And I think that's a big piece. These girls know the teams we've played. They're well aware of who they have, and kids these days, they have a lot of connections with everybody. I always laugh with the social media. They know everyone. They talk to this person. They're friends with that person. Like they know them all.
That's what makes it a little different.
It's a little different than my day. So it's kind of always interesting. Heck, they can tell me their names more than I can. So it's always kind of an interesting thing. But hopefully it's just kind of one of those deals where, yes, they did finish us off last year to end our season, but to refocus it on, it's the next task for us today, and the next task of our season of trying to focus that 1-0.
Coach, maybe not necessarily specific to Great Bend High Lady Panther basketball, but how do you feel that social media, that connection between athletes has changed the game? I think it gets a little overblown on taking away the competitiveness, because I think wanting to beat your friends is definitely real, like you want bragging rights there. But how do you think that has changed the athletic landscape?
I think it's just made everyone more aware of different people out there. I think there's good things of it. It does give kids a good exposure and things like that. And there are some impressive things that get put out there on Twitter and different, this kid's performance on the night. Heck, sometimes you see those and I'm going, man, that's impressive type of a deal. But I think it is kind of that double-edged sword. I think sometimes it can get blown up, or this kid blows up and maybe other people look at it like, oh, they're not that good type of a deal. I don't know. But I try to stay out of it as much as I can, just because it's kind of something for me that I struggle with anxiety through it all, of knowing what's all out there. But, you never feel like you're doing enough or type of a deal. But they're well aware of different people around the state, which I think is an interesting thing. And like I said, they do, and maybe we just have a really good, nice group of girls right now, because they're always very complimentary of different people or different things going on. But I still think when you get down to it, you're looking to compete. And sometimes maybe if that person's the all-state kid out there, it helps us. We know about it, and they take that challenge on of like, okay, well, then we're going to try to shut her down. Sometimes to success and, other times not. But it's a different world for sure.
I think the complementary nature of your team speaks volumes about how confident they feel about themselves. They're very secure in how they're playing, and for good reason. You've got your squad sitting at 6-2 heading into Friday's matchup against Hutchinson. Coach, tell me, what are your final thoughts heading in against the Salthawks?
I think after the snow day and all the weather and stuff like that, right now we got to refocus on it, lock it back in, focus on the basketball for what we need to do, and focus on the challenge ahead. That is head coach of the Great Bend Lady Panthers, Cindy Beck. Coach, good luck on Friday. Thank you very much. We'll have more Sports Day heading your way right after this here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Love your phone but tired of your current provider? Bring your device to Next-Tech Wireless and experience wireless built by Kansans for Kansans. For a limited time, get 4 lines with unlimited data for $100. Have questions? Call or text our local customer care team at 877-621-2600. Next-Tech Wireless. Home on the range.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Zach Streit, commercial lender for Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Attention high school juniors, explore your career paths at Barton Community College's Junior Day on February 14th. This fun and free day features an on-campus tour, giveaways, yard games, pizza, and did we mention $3,000 in scholarships will be up for grabs. Learn about a variety of career paths, some of which can get you into the workforce and making money in just one semester. Sign up online now through February 1st at juniorday.bartoncc.edu.
Central and Western Kansas residents, are you looking for a new vehicle? Marmy Auto Group can make it happen. Marmy Auto Group includes Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Chevrolet, and GMC. Marmy Auto Group, your Central and Western Kansas dealer, has new and pre-owned vehicles, or we can special order your vehicle today. If your existing vehicle needs serviced, Marmy's award-winning service department can help. Come to Marmy Auto Group on 10th or marmys.net. Marmys make it happen.
Welcome back to 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for Sports Day. It's Aaron Clark filling in for Steve Webster. Joined now on the program by voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Welbrock. Gerard, back for week 2 with the bullpen, and you're still showing up. Got to commend you for it.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what they abandon you guys. What's going on, man?
Something. We've got just the real skeleton crew here. It's me filling in for Webby. It's Landon filling in for Hesher. It's just all sorts of fun. Excited to get to talk to you today, though. Any day Webby's out and it's a Wednesday, it's fun because I get to go kind of a deep dive into the MIAA with you. Before we get into that, though, I'm still just rearing to talk about the college football national title, get as many perspectives on that game as I can. And a guy like yourself, you've seen a lot of football over the years, itching to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I thought, and it's funny because I don't get to watch a lot of college football because I'm busy calling
no
football.
Way.
But I thought that Michigan had one of the best teams in the country when it started. And so them winning didn't surprise me. I just thought they were going to be really, really good, and just hearing all the, so-called national experts. And, it's one of those games you see a lot. Washington had chances and just could not. That they missed that fourth down, which would have been a touchdown. How does that change the game? They had a couple of other drops when they were still down 7, and then you see it so many times. You can only survive so many of those, and then the wheels fall off. The dam blows open, and Michigan does what Michigan does. But I thought it was a fun game. I mean, I've liked Washington. I have a lot of cousins who are UW grads, so I was kind of pulling for Washington. And I went up to see some of them a few last summer and went by the Husky Stadium. And so I was kind of pulling for them, but like or not like Michigan, Harbaugh's and all of that, they were pretty impressive this year. And I think when you deal with all the off-field issues they had to maneuver around, a lot of credit to that team for keeping it together and really not letting it affect them on the football field.
That was definitely something that stood out to me. Whether or not how you feel about the Harbaugh cheating scandal, the stealing signs, whatever, that creates a lot of distractions for a team to have to go through. And for Michigan to be able to persevere through that, beat some really good teams throughout the year, and in the playoffs, obviously, that highlighted. They were able to get by Alabama, able to get by Washington. A lot of distractions, but Michigan weathering the storm.
Absolutely, and you're right. That pulls on a team. Just the focus. I mean, you're not locked in maybe all the way because you know that's in the back of your mind. All of those things that are going on, and for a lot of those guys, out of their control. But they stuck with it, and those assistants did a good job. And it's unfortunate there is that black cloud because I think the Harbaugh story is cool with John and Jim and their dad and. So I think that's really neat, and it's unfortunate that it kind of takes away some of that, and the fact that both Michigan is having the season they did, and then you look at the Ravens and the season they're having with both of the Harbaughs. It's kind of unfortunate that a lot of people just talking about the cheating scandal, but I guess that is what it is. But I think that's a cool story with the Harbaughs.
Absolutely. If you're unaware, the Harbaugh's dad, Jack Harbaugh, was able to win an FCS championship. Then, of course, John won a Super Bowl, and I think it was 2013, 2014 with the Ravens over the 49ers. Now, Jim raising a college football national title. Exciting times. 2024, the year of the Harbaugh. Just waiting for Jack to come out of retirement.
We'll see where this football playoff goes. The NFL might be another Harbaugh hosting a trophy this year. That'd be crazy that both of them do it in the same year. Then the fact that when the first one went to John, that he beat his brother in doing so. So it's kind of some funny synergy how that all works out.
Championship football, it just runs in the Harbaugh DNA.
Yes, it does.
Enough talking about the Wolverines and the Huskies, though. I want to get into the Tigers, get into some Tiger basketball. Starting with the Fort Hays State men. Tigers, they're coming in at 11-3, winners of their last 3 games. Tell me a little bit about this game I've just had against Lincoln, winning a 69-64.
Good game. Lincoln's good. They are really a talented team. They shoot the heck out of the ball. Fort Hays State, we've talked all year about their defense, number 1 in field goal defense. They were number one in fewest points allowed. They were number 1 in field goal D. That went up a little bit, but the Blue Tigers can shoot it. They've got some good guards. They've got a big man who is tough to defend because he can shoot the three. And I thought Fort Hays State did a pretty good job of that. There were a few times they let some guys get open, and it cost them, and that's what allowed Lincoln to stay in the game. But I thought Fort Hays State played well, shot the ball pretty well. They got off to a good start shooting, and that's something they don't always do. And to me, that's going to be the key for them down the stretch. The defense is going to be there. That should show up every night. Will there be games they aren't as locked in or maybe aren't as effective as others? Absolutely. That's part of sports. But it's not going to be that they're not ready to go defensively. To me, the key for this team is can they get more consistent offensively, and they've got to shoot the three better. They're last in the MIAA. And you look at a team like Lincoln, they don't shoot it great overall, but they shoot it really well from three, and that keeps you in games. And that's why they came into that one 9-3. They were 4-2 in the MIAA going into that one. That's been kind of the two Fort Hays State losses. Fort Hays State has shot the ball tremendously well, but they struggled from three in those games, and their opponent shot the three well, and that was the difference. So, to me, that's what they've got to figure out. I thought going into the year they were going to be a pretty decent offensive team. It's been kind of a flip-flop defensively. They were so good last year. I didn't think they'd be able to match that. They've actually matched and surpassed that. Thought they'd be better on offense, and they haven't been. R.J. Crawford, transfer guard from Southwest Baptist, he's been dealing with a back issue, and he's been barely able to go the last two games. That's a big blow because he is a good three-point shooter, and they need him. So hopefully he can get that healthy. But, yeah, that was a big one over Lincoln. They're a good team, and get ready to hit the road again, and it's like two more huge games. It's MIAA this year. It's a gauntlet. I mean, I don't think there's any bad team in the league.
Taking a look a little bit more at that Lincoln game, something that stands out, Fort Hays, they were able to get 19 points from their bench. Lincoln only 8. Fort Hays, they run pretty deep, or is this kind of a blip in the radar this year?
No, not right now because of injury. They're not real deep. It just kind of depends on the key there. Jaheim Holden came off the bench. He had a big offensive day. There's really one guy who did it, and Lincoln's bench, they're not ultra deep, and their bench didn't score. So there's been other games. If Jaheim isn't scoring, they don't get a lot of bench points. So they're thin right now. Sean Riley, one of the post players, had a rough day. He's been pretty good offensively. So he's a guy who gives them a punch. Those two can give them a punch, but without R.J. Crawford right now, and I'm not sure what he's going to do this weekend. I haven't talked to Coach yet. If they're going to maybe set him down and try to get that back healthy. You can tell he starts the game, he can go about 3 minutes, maybe 4, and then something happens. You can just see on the bench he is just in such discomfort. Then usually get to halftime and gets feeling pretty good. He'll start, and then that's about all they're getting out of him right now. So, Caleb Handeke has been a guy who's always had a lot of minutes. It doesn't seem to affect his play. They're hoping to get him a little bit more of a break this year. That hasn't happened because of some of these injuries. But fortunately, they've got some guys who seem to be able to handle the extra load and not affect their play. And they're going to need to do that here for a while.
And so the Tigers, they've got a couple big games coming up on the schedule. Might not look like the most impressive teams, but like you were saying earlier, not a bad team among the bunch in the MIAA this year. Coming up on Thursday, they'll be traveling to Missouri Southern, taking on the Lions. What do you know about that game?
They're huge. They're big. They struggled early out of the gate. They're starting to put it together right now. How the Tigers handle their size will be a big question mark. Fort Hays State is not an overly big team. They got 2 or 3 big dudes down low they can put in. They've got a really good point guard who didn't play in their last game that they won against Pittsburgh State. So it'll be interesting to see what his status is. But, they just got really good size. And they've got some guys who can shoot it, and we'll see if Fort Hays State can contain them. They've generally played pretty well down in Joplin for whatever reason, and Southern has had some really, really good teams. But these next 2 games, Pitt State the same way. They've got some good size. This will be probably the 2 of the bigger teams the Tigers will have to deal with this year, and can they handle it? And a lot of it, they'll make it harder for Fort Hays State to finish at the rim. Some of the Tiger guards aren't overly big. Caleb Hannick is not a big guy. Same thing with Jaheim Holden. Will they be able to finish it? Some of their other guys for 3 and 4 positions aren't overly big. Can they finish at the rim against that Missouri Southern and then Pittsburgh State side? If they can, at just a decent rate, I think they're going to have a good chance in these 2 games. But you're right. These are 2 good teams. Don't let the records mislead you. And winning on the road's been tough. I mean, only 2. I say that last week, only 2 home teams won. But you look up and down. I don't know if the NCAA, the top end, is as good. Northwest, I don't think they're as good as they've been. They're still good. I don't think Central Oklahoma. I think a tick down from what they were last year. So I don't know if the top end is good, but I think 5 through 12, 13 all got better. So I think in some regards the league is tougher this year because everybody's pretty even, and you just have to come out and play every night.
It's going to be fun watching it shake out on the men's side. On the ladies' side, though, turn it over to the Lady Tigers. They're coming into their matchup against Missouri Southern at 12-2, 6-2 in conference play. They're able to get back in the win column in their game against Lincoln, getting a 74-62 victory. Tell me what you saw from the Lady Tigers against Lincoln.
Well, it was a good bounce back because the Central Missouri game on Thursday was disappointing. Fort Hays State played well at times, and then at other times, just I don't know. It's hard to say what happened. It's almost like they second-guessed themselves, and things they were doing well, they quit doing, and then they got behind, and unfortunately, Central Missouri had their best shooting game of the year. That was a bad combination. So that made for an interesting game, but it was a good bounce back. Lincoln, record's not great. They are maybe the quickest team in the league. They're not very big, and that's sometimes, you've seen it before, a team with the size going up against a team that's maybe not as big. For whatever reason, that smaller team has the mismatches that work in their favor. But Fort Hays State handled it well, played pretty solid throughout, and got the victory. And about Lincoln, they don't quit. I mean, they haven't had great success over the years, but they play for 40 minutes. And if you win, you earn it. And I thought Fort Hays State did that. So that was a good bounce back. Had some girls shoot the ball better. And quite honestly, I thought they turned down some good looks against Central Missouri and didn't do that against Lincoln. It's almost like they've gotten in their head a little bit, just go play. And I thought they did that better on Saturday. And they're going to have to do that this weekend. It's going to be a tough road trip with their 2 games this weekend.
Taking a look at what the Tigers were able to do against Lincoln a little bit, Sydney Galladay, did she drop 9 assists?
Yeah. That was kind of one of those, you get done and you see the stat sheet, and it's like, wow, she had 9. That was remarkable. It was a career high. She has been, unfortunately for her, she played with Jaden Hobbs, who is, you could argue the best point guard Fort Hays State has had. Certainly the best in the Division II era. Just a special talent. That's a once in a generation type talent. And she had to play, I said behind her. They played together, but she kind of got lost in the shadow. And Sydney's not flashy. And she's shooting the 3 ball well this year. And she was one of those, I thought, turned down some good looks in the Central Missouri game. And she's been shooting over 50% here the last 3 or 4 games, and got back to shooting the ball against Lincoln and knocked them in. But yeah, shot it well, 9 assists. They don't turn it over a lot, and that's obviously key. And she's been really good. And then Brooke Levy comes in off the bench, a sophomore, and is again one of those very misleading players too, and doesn't wow you. But at the end of the day, you see some of the plays she makes. It's one of the strengths of this team is their guard play, and they're kind of in the same boat. They'll go through stretches they don't shoot very well. If they can do that, shoot better on a more consistent basis here now that we're into January, I personally, from what I've seen, I think Fort Hays State's the best team in the conference. I take that back. I did see Pitt State play earlier. Pitt State might be the best team. That's why Saturday's game is going to be such a big showdown. Pitt's really, really good. I think those are the 2 best teams right now. But Fort Hays State doesn't always play at that level, and when they do, they're tough to beat. And to me, just again, consistent play, and a lot of it comes down how well do they shoot the ball, because there are stretches where they just cannot buy a basket. That was some of the Central Missouri game. They were missing good looks right at the rim, and they can't afford to do that against the good teams that have a chance to win.
Talking about this matchup coming up against Pitt State, it's the currently ranked 15 for Hays State women against the 20th ranked Pitt State. kind of tough for the Gorillas. They're ranked 4th in the conference right now, even though they're the 20th team in the nation. A tough MIAA women's conference, but you think Fort Hays State, Pitt State could be the matchup to decide the winner. What do you think is going to go into Fort Hays coming away with a victory on Saturday?
Well, I think a lot of it is how they do tomorrow against Southern, because, as good as Pitt is, they lost to Missouri Southern at home this past Saturday. So this Southern team is really good. They had a lot of players leave. Their point guard from last year, Conference Player of the Year, goes to Missouri State. She's Missouri State's best player. I mean, that just shows you the quality of play in the MIAA right now on the women's side. In fact, same thing with Nebraska Kearney. Their coach got the job at Idaho. Their point guard went with her. She's Idaho's best player. So this league is full of D1 talent, and if you don't, it's hard to compete. So Southern's going to be a battle, and those are physical, hard, tough games. And so I think how that goes, and then just how Fort Hays State comes out of that game, they're going to have to dig deep on Saturday down in Pittsburgh after the Thursday night game at Missouri Southern. But the thing about Pitt, they can light it up. They can shoot it. The Pyle girl from McPherson is unreal. They've got a good point guard who can distribute and shoot. I mean, to me, they're hard to defend, and Fort Hays State's been really good defensively. Both of these games, tomorrow and Saturday, the Tigers are going to have to hit some shots. They haven't always done that. Kind of talked about that earlier. They're going to, both teams, honestly, men and women, you're going to have to hit some shots. You're going to have to hit some threes. You're going to have to be able to score some points. You can't just rely on your defense alone. These teams are just too good offensively to rely on that. And if they do that, I think they've got a great chance to win them both. If they don't, it's going to be a battle, and they're going to have to find a way to grind it out.
Well, I can't wait to hear from you next Wednesday. Just a question about the MIAA, specifically the Kansas teams here for you. Which one feels like the odd man out to you? As an Emporia man, it always kind of felt like Pitt State was alone in a way down in the southeastern corner, but that might also just be because I was a Great Bend guy, so Fort Hays doesn't seem too far away. Which one of the four kind of seems like the odd man out to you?
Right now it's Emporia, and they've dropped a little bit. They've got a new head coach. They've had some good wins. They've had some tough losses. I think Coach Osterman will get them rolling. It's just going to be it's his first year, and you deal with trying to rebuild and players leaving and all of those things. And they're going to lose their all-conference point guard. I mean, it's tough to come back from that. So I think he'll get them back to where they were. But I'd say right now the Hornets are down just a tick because of the transition, and they're going to be young anyway. Pitt State's, they're an NCAA tournament team. They're really good. Washburn has been down too a little bit. They're not the Washburn of old, although they're kind of on an uptick. They're playing really well right now. Quite honestly, over the last 5-10 years, Fort Hays State's been the team. They've been the best. They've been the team. Pitt's been good. Emporia's had their moments. Emporia's made an Elite Eight, beat Fort Hays State, an injured Fort Hays State team who, when healthy that year, had 20-point leads in the second half against them. Fort Hays had about two teams I think could have won the whole thing, and unfortunately got bit by the injury bug. But that's sports. But Fort Hays State's been the most consistent winner of the Kansas MIAA schools here over the last 5 to 7 years. But Pitt is really good, and I think Emporia will get back, and Washburn appears to be playing really well right now. So it's been fun. The Kansas schools are always among the tops. Central Missouri's great. Kearney, now they've gotten better. Like I said, you better bring it every night at the MIAA. We talk about football is great. I mean, volleyball might be the toughest. I mean, there's nationally ranked teams that don't even crack the NCAA tournament because it's so deep. And I think women's basketball is kind of in that same boat.
It's so fun getting to talk to you because I love getting to hear about that kind of stuff, the deep history of the last couple of years of the MIAA. Gerard, we'll have you back next week to recap all of the Fort Hays games going on this week. Fun talking to you today.
My pleasure. Have fun.
We'll have more Sports Day coming your way here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM right after this.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Extend the life of your equipment with Cenex Premium Greases. Engineered with quality-based oils and well-balanced formulas to protect equipment in a wide range of temperatures and tough conditions. The Cenex line of grease products offer excellent rust protection, water resistance, and anti-wear properties to extend equipment life. Cenex Grease delivers the dependability you need to keep your operation running like a well-oiled machine.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mike Corson joined once again by Go with Lady Panther wrestling coach Gannon Reichert. Coach, just how good to be back in the swing of things.
Feeling good.
Obviously a tough tournament at Dodge City. Dodge City was ranked number 1 and got 5th ranked Manhattan in 5-6A out there. But a team from Texas, obviously you probably don't know a whole bunch about them, but going second place, kind of how nice to have some strange competition at a quality competition.
Yeah, whenever you can get a different look that's also quality, that's great.
We will start a bunch of second-ranked girls, but we'll start with Daisy Gomez just because I saw the name De La Rosa and thought she had carried over some momentum, but she corrected me and said it was a different De La Rosa. But she still is your one girl to win, and how big was maybe that momentum she built at the end of last year carrying over?
Oh, yeah, Daisy's really starting to come into her own and get past those mental blocks, especially with that first defeat over Ariana. And I think she lost to a girl at Pratt on Thursday, and I think she had a rematch there in Dodge and got her. So that was pretty big for her as well.
And that was 4th-ranked Wendy Candia, which is a name I've known for covering 4-1A, so a very quality wrestler. Move up to 190 pounds, 2nd-ranked Natalie Daniels. Gets all the way to the finals where she runs into Liberal's top-ranked girl. So how about her day?
Oh, yeah, Natalie, she's a great wrestler, tough girl. I know she was probably more disappointed in herself than anyone else about that finals match, but she wrestled great for the day and just need to kind of sharpen up some things, and she'll get there.
Another finalist at 125 is 3rd-ranked Kaylee McMullen. Goes 2-0 in pool matches, pins both of her girls, and then another tough draw where she gets a 5th-ranked girl from Pratt. Goes the distance in a 4-2 decision. Is that something she can learn from, or could have had a different outcome?
Oh, yeah, I think she got pinned in the first against that girl on the duel, so she's learned already. We just keep getting her sharpened up. I mean, that Pratt girl's a tough girl. Kaylee battled it out with her. I mean, we'll just have to figure something out there now.
I keep waiting for Kira Stevens to break into the rankings, but I'm sure that's pretty tough. But a 3rd-place finish at 170 pounds, 3-0 in pool matches, and then she goes and you had 2 Dodge City wrestlers. Kind of odd. We know Dodge City's tough, but have 2 of them finish top in that bracket. How is Kira continuing to improve?
Kira keeps getting better every day as well. She's a tough girl. I know that match that she lost. I don't know if it's a reason or not, but she did trip on her own feet, and that kind of put her in a iffy situation that led her to her back. And so I'd like to, kind of have that rematch again, but we'll have to work on her footwork, I guess.
We're talking to Lady Panther wrestling coach Gannon Reichert. 5th-ranked Camden Post is a freshman at 105. She gets 4th place. And then I'll just jump down to 100 pounds where another freshman, Kaylee Baldwin, gets 4th place. How awesome that you're going to have these kids for a few years.
Oh, yeah. So Camden came in with some history of, some placing at some tournaments. of name, and Kaylee was kind of an unknown coming in, but she has improved a lot over the course of the year and just keeps looking sharper and sharper. And so, yeah, that's exciting having them there at those lower classes.
And Kira Leva, another fourth-place finish in your lightweights. That was at 110. If anybody's followed girls wrestling, they probably know of Charlie Goodwin of Junction City. So Kira pins her first opponent and then runs into Goodwin, ends up fourth in that bracket.
Yeah, Kira, tough girl too. She's a real scrappy thing. Just keep sharpening her up. She's young. She's got some stuff to learn yet, but she wrestles tough and has a lot of spirit.
And Soraya Cox is another one, fourth place at 145, another one that goes 3-0 in pool matches. What's the next step getting, okay, we can win the pool matches, now we got a little bit more pressure, a little bit more quality. What's the gap there in these big tournaments?
I think Soraya just kind of lacking some exposure to kind of that competition or that level of competition yet, but, I mean, she's been improving over the course of the year as well.
And Danica Klein at 155, sixth place, but a really tough bracket there, so she goes 2-1 in the pool with a pair of pins, loses to the second-ranked girl of Dodge City. Riley Schnoblin also placed 10th in that one. Kind of maybe a bracket where you guys can pick up some points every tournament?
Yeah, Danica, she's filling out. She's a real calm wrestler. She's got some stuff she definitely needs to work on, but she's got stuff in her toolkit that she can use, and we'll just have to get her filled out all the way.
And maybe one more here. Braylon Turner, seventh place at 120, pins her first opponent, and then runs into another tough kid, second-ranked girl from Manhattan. But she kind of rebounded from that with a really quick pin in the seventh-place match.
Yeah, Braylon wrestled great on the day. She obviously had that stiff competition there from Manhattan. Don't like to have that early on, but she bounced back, wrestled tough rest of the tournament, scored us some team points.
Where do the Lady Panthers head this weekend?
They will be at Hayes Saturday.
Coach Gannon Reichert, thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thank you.
More sports day after this.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Attention high school juniors. Explore your career paths at Barton Community College's Junior Day on February 14th. This fun and free day features an on-campus tour, giveaways, yard games, pizza, and did we mention $3,000 in scholarships will be up for grabs. Learn about a variety of career paths, some of which can get you into the workforce and making money in just one semester. Sign up online now through February 1st at juniorday.bartoncccc.edu.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Welcome back into 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for Sports Day. Wrapping up the show here, I'd like to remind everyone that Sports Day is brought to you in part by the Venture Corporation, reminding you to help a neighbor and shop local when you can, as well as by Next Tech Wireless. Experience wireless built by Kansans for Kansas. Had a great show. However, we'd like to remind everyone to make sure you head on out to Barton tonight, and if you can't, to support the Barton basketball teams, go ahead and tune on in to B1043 The Point at 5:15 p.m. We'll have both the men and women taking on Garden City. Cole Reif, he'll be on the call. Then we have also got some Great Bend High School bowling going on.
That's coming up. It's either going on right now or it's going to start here shortly. Liberals should be coming to town. I don't think that's got canceled. And the Barton games are at Garden.
Barton games are at Garden. My apologies on that. Might have sent some people out to the Kirkman Center prematurely. However, we are wrapping up. Got a little bit of late breaking news for you guys here in the afternoon. Pete Carroll expected to be out as head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He might remain with the team in a different capacity, but not expected to be the head coach. Already some early speculation that the Seahawks, maybe after current Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, he spent some time in the same role with Seattle under Pete Carroll in the early 2010s when Seattle was rolling out that Legion of Boom. Maybe the Seahawks want to bring back a former golden boy of theirs, lead the team now. Quinn's picked up a lot of steam as a head coaching candidate the past few years. He's coordinated some excellent units in Dallas. He was the head coach in Atlanta for the Falcons in 2017 when they went to the Super Bowl, nearly knocking off the Patriots. Excited to see how this story develops. We'll have more Sports Day here for you coming your way tomorrow right here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.